welcome to another edition of Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief Ryan Satin, here with my co-hosts Elijah Bates.
Good to be back.
And Kevin Silva.
Wild card rule is getting crazy.
The man of 1,004 nicknames returns. Jamie had some sort of last-minute business meeting, so you got to hot tag in.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You are here late. He's late.
I am sorry.
But he's here.
Traffic is... Oh my God, LA traffic, guys, am I right?
The worst. All right, well, let's get into
that podcast today.
I honestly, I feel like this first topic is going to take up a majority of the conversation because it really was the biggest thing in wrestling this week, and that is Jon Moxley doing an interview with Chris Jericho, an intense interview, hour and a half, where he had some real problems with his time in WWE. You guys both listened to it, right?
Yeah.
Just overall thoughts on it?
He sounds like somebody that's excited to be. He legitimately sounds like somebody that's free.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I don't know. Just like it's night and day from that Stone Cold interview.
Yeah.
Where everyone was like, God, what a dick. And like now he's just like.
Well, you know what he sounds like is, and he referenced it as well, he sounds like an artist who's finally ready to like practice their craft the way that they would prefer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that, obviously he buries WWE for like most of it.
Yeah,
but
bury, but buries is a really subjective word though.
Sure.
I mean,
too.
he says the word bury.
Yeah.
Right? He
Yeah.
says, like, with all that aside, now we're going to bury the company for the next 2 hours or whatever. So those aren't words I put into his mouth.
Right.
But I agree with you, Kevin, and with you, Eli, is that at the end of it, besides all the anti-WWE talk and how he didn't like the creative process and how it needs to change and all that kind of stuff, and we'll get into all of that, his excitement at the end of the podcast really was the part that I personally enjoyed the most. Maybe not the most newsworthy out of all of it, but the part I liked the most because you could genuinely hear happiness and excitement in his voice when just at the prospect of doing all these things that he's wanting to do.
I feel like his interview validated the way that everybody else felt that requested their release or received their release before that as well. Because, a lot of those people, I think others, the vast majority of wrestling fans might look at somebody like any of the people that had requested their releases and just being like, well, you're unhappy with your push. You're not getting, the attention you deserve, or maybe you don't deserve it. In the case of Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, it's like, no, he was the top guy.
He was a star. He was your guy.
He was the WWE champion for a period of time,
And the Shield were touted as like the future of the company.
Not only that, but he got like a pretty decent send off for somebody who wasn't re-signing with the company.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if there was an old school nature, in the way they looked at that, and that like it was something where they're like, oh well, he's serving out the rest of his time. He's putting people over on the way out.
It seemed pretty disingenuous to me, just based on the full interview, like at the end where he talks about like how little he got paid for it. How they gave him $500 for that show, which is like the bare minimum for talent.
Or
to
like
be paid
what
on
you
the
get
show.
what you give like an extra. He was saying on Raw, which is crazy.
Yeah, and especially considering that whole special was built around it being his goodbye. I don't know how. It seems to me, just from listening to this interview, that they were worried that he would become like a martyr for AEW.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that like if they just treated him like shit on the way out and they gave him more ammo wherever he went to bury them back and be like, look how terrible they are. So at least this way it looked like, hey, look, we're nice people. He did a lot for us. Like, we look good here.
Right. I mean, it's not exactly setting your final papers on your wedding day or anything. Or was it wedding day for St. Bun?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like $500 on this farewell match extravaganza. That's pretty close.
I would say it's more just a very petty.
It's a very
move.
petty thing for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the nature of the company.
Right. Absolutely.
It was like you could tell it was like, well, if I can't screw him on TV, I'll screw him in some way. And it was like, there you go. Here's
just
$500.
get one little poke. That's all I want. Is just one little poke at you.
It's going back to the idea of burying, which that seems to be a wrestling term more than anything. To bury the company or another wrestler or something like that.
Is it bury?
He's saying bury.
Bury.
I'm catching
bury.
it.
Bury. Do you say bury?
Hey, it's spelt bury.
It is,
but it's bury. Like you buried someone, you got buried.
Bury.
It's like you're Canadian right now.
It does sound like he's Canadian right now.
Apricot.
Again.
France.
Sorry.
Anyways, to bury something, though. No, but the thing is, like, I guess you could look at it as burying the company, but like, sorry, but. He's saying only true things. Like it's his objective truth of what he experienced there. And so like I feel like even though he said let's bury the company, I don't feel like it. Like I mean, it wasn't like there was a sense of wanting to be negative. It's like they've driven him to this point, and he's just being honest.
I agree with you,
and I trust that he's being honest in this situation.
He also said that exact line in a very funny way when he was just like, he just got done saying the positive things. Like, all right, let's bury the company for the next 2 hours. Like it was just. Kind of like a tongue in cheek, but it's it's a little tongue in cheek thing.
I also love it, and this is totally side note, but I love the hi Renee. Like at one point,
dude, that part killed me.
I was like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah,
she wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That part, like if she just got back from grocery shopping, and she was like, oh, hi Renee.
Like as she walks, in, like, oh,
yeah.
Hey, but you know, like nothing that he said outside of like the individual granular experiences that he went over, every single thing that he said is exactly what I feel like wrestling fans, inside wrestling fans, have suspected for the longest period of time, and have claimed.
Okay, I agree with everything, but can I play?
Sure.
But first, before, because I don't want to forget, I also do agree with you that it does validate a lot of what some of these other people are saying, and I know a lot of people in the company who feel creatively drained because there's nothing they can do to have any creative input whatsoever, and they just feel creatively handcuffed.
Writers, producers, talent. It's just, I mean, Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, but what did you say right before that I was gonna?
Kind of giving him like I don't know. I think you're going to play devil's advocate of like. His
devil's
story.
advocate. Then thank you. Okay, okay.
Because we're only hearing one side of the story.
If I'm executive producer of a show and I hire an actor to play a part in a show, don't I dictate what that actor does in the show?
Yeah.
So if I'm paying them lots of money?
For sure.
At the same time, he at one point says, if you want an actor, you should just hire an actors. Like if you want somebody, a wrestler, like we're not actors. Like I mean, of course that's part of the job.
Well, like think about it like this: Netflix hires a stand-up comedian to do a special on Netflix. They're not telling them what jokes to tell. They're letting the stand-up comedian tell their jokes because they hired this person for their expertise and their ability in that realm to perform. You know, and I get it. WWE is a television show. You know, like I mean, and that's truly what it has become. If you just look at even their TV deals, even this like, their pursuit of ratings, which we all look at as like an antiquated system for tracking something that they still look at as like kind of a holy grail-esque, you know, marker of excellence. He doesn't want to be on a TV show. He wants to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
The same way that a comedian would probably hate being on like some CBS, you know, or would probably eventually grow to hate being on some CBS 3-camera sitcom or something like that.
I mean, you look at Dave Chappelle, who quit his show in the height of its popularity based off of
different reasons.
But at the same time, like.
But I mean, but it has a lot of the same stuff to do with it. If you look at what he's done since then, he's done exactly what he wanted to do since then.
And I do think that when you get to when it comes down to a certain point like that it is like, oh, what's more important to you, money or creative freedom? So that does make sense to me.
Yeah.
I just think that sometimes I just think that like, well, I mean, like you knew what you were signing up for. Like it's not like WWE is. Isn't transparent about like what they are, you know.
Yeah.
Like Raw this week, there was no wrestling for the first hour of the show. You know,
maybe it just feels like I'm coming in here and they know what they got out of this guy, so they know what they bought, and so you kind of expect them to lean a certain way with you probably, or you at least hope so.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of these talents expect, but I mean it is naive given the fact that we have a rich history of what this product is,
and also the line of Vince is killing WWE, or Vince is in his creative process are killing WWE. If you look at like how much money they're making now as compared to the cool time everyone refers to, the time that we all have this affinity for, they're making so much more money now than they were back then.
Well, and that's a validating factor for what he's doing too. Why wouldn't he tell somebody? And it's like, and most of the people are not Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley, I assume, going backstage and really going straight to Vince, being like, I will not say this. Like there's not many people that have the brass, and I don't know how truthful or the tone of voice he took with Vince is and stuff like that. None of us were there, so we can't say. But like I would say suggest that there's probably a lot of people that are truly grateful for the opportunity to go there, and I'm sure that he felt that way for the longest time too. But it's just like the dude clearly was not creatively fulfilled for the longest period of time.
Because he was
maybe
there
the entire time, outside of like the initial rush of getting that first burst of success.
Because he says for the last 6 years that he was unhappy, and he was there for how long? 8, 9 years.
I'd have to look it up. I'm not positive.
I think he said he went to FCW in 2011. I think that's the
Right, so he was there for 8 years, and he was happy, at least seemingly, for those 2 first years.
Yeah.
And then
2011.
So then he
then he
keeps
got-
on saying 6 years. He got put up to the main roster.
Yeah,
so.
it's like once you get to the main roster and everything like that. But you know what's so funny is like, you know, there was a picture that was shared in our group chat today and everything. You know, it wasn't an actual picture of Sasha Banks, but it was really like, now you look at her situation and be like, oh, is she being spoiled, or you know, because that's the bent that every single wrestling fan took about her temper tantrum or whatever.
And that's the thing that I get frustrated about, because I feel like people think that I felt that way about her and that I said she was throwing a tantrum. Yes, I understand the words I use. I never used the word tantrum. I just said she was on the ground loudly complaining about the situation. But I never took it. Whether there are people in the company who were frustrated about it or not, to me, I completely understood like the frustration.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I thought she was some spoiled brat or something like that. And like you said, I think that it might, for those who did take it that way and that were like, oh, F her type people, I think they should relook the way they look at it. Same for Leo Rush.
I think that every single person now who like I think this changes everything in terms of how people are going to view those who are unhappy or who are requesting their release or who are, you know, complaining on Twitter or whatever it might be. Everybody's going to look at them differently now. Like Jon Moxley changed, I feel like, the scope that people are going to view all that like negative feedback of WWE. I was doing quotations in case you're not watching it. People are going to view it differently now, but they're going to digest that kind of flack from these wrestlers a lot different now.
Because given the fact that it's a similar situation to CM Punk, but Dean Ambrose Moxley also said like he didn't want to walk out. He at the one point talks about how he wanted to walk out, but he didn't ultimately want to do that. He wanted to fulfill his contract.
He also says that for legal purposes.
I mean, for sure,
but
the same. But like,
you know, but even just
being
like
smart about it,
like running out his contract, laying on his back, taking like these petty payments and stuff like that. It's really hard. You know, wrestling fans oftentimes, especially in the digital ether, will find a little thing to complain about, and they'll hold on to that little thing, and that will be like the complete foundation of what all their complaints and criticisms come from. It's like, according to the old school rules of wrestling, it sounds like this guy did everything right going out. So it's really hard to find criticism in what he's saying now, because he earned the right to say it by going out, quote unquote, the right way.
He went out the right way so much that even he was confused by how WWE reacted to it. I love that part of the interview, because I think out of everything, I was most confused with how WWE put out a public statement about it.
This is the first time that ever happened.
Did a goodbye special for him, talked about it on TV, advertising that he's leaving with this like glowing review of like, we're going to miss the guy.
Even to the point where it was like, all of us were like, yeah, he's going to be gone for a couple weeks, and he's going to get a couple death matches out of his system.
Clearly, he's not going to be gone for a long time.
And then all of a sudden, he debuts this past weekend. It's like, oh, right. This is huge.
You know, it makes sense to me now after interviewing Nick Mondo today. Sick Nick Mondo, who directed his hype videos. He did the Prison Break one and the New Japan one. And there was that part where Dean walks by the Viper Room logo, and it has the dice that said 2 and 5 on it. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's got to be a tease for Double or Nothing. And then honestly, at a certain point, because there was really, I wasn't getting any tips or anyone really, any movement on the situation, I thought maybe he wasn't going to be there. And so when I talked to Nick Mondo today, and I brought that up, he told me that wasn't a tease for Double or Nothing, that it was actually a tribute to Dusty Rhodes, because Dusty was a mentor to Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose in FCW and NXT. And so he said that one time, you know, while down, Dusty was like explaining a good idea of a vignette for him, and he said at one point he like puts on a leather jacket and walks in front of the Viper Room logo, and so that's why he put that in the vignette.
That's so cool. I love that.
I know, me too.
I love that Dusty Rhodes thought of that too.
Me too. And so
it shows how long the Viper Room's been around, I guess.
And I also didn't know that you know, he looked at Dusty Rhodes as a mentor, which makes sense as to why he immediately jumped over to AEW. And yeah, so I love that.
That's great.
It did have symbolism to it, just not what everyone thought it was.
The other part was just a happy a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
which is great.
Do you guys think, and I know we're going to talk more about it, but do you think that this interview is bigger in what it means for the wrestling industry than CM Punk's interview was?
I think so, just in the fact that came off as a guy complaining.
Yeah.
That came off as a guy was burnt and he just kind of went off the rails a little bit.
And there were claims that we couldn't validate. Like
Exactly.
Dean Ambrose's claims in Jericho's podcast were a bit more visible to all of us.
I think because it was
recent.
Most of the promos that he's referring to, when you watched it,
we saw him and we were like,
oh, what is he doing?
This is not him.
What? Like that's how they
As
brought
Vince
him
is
back.
like, this is you.
Yeah. So,
That's why people like you.
You're crazy.
You're crazy
You have
guy.
creative
You drive your
license.
car backwards. You need a pizza with a bum.
You can get a little laundry pin and put it on your nose. You have creative freedom here. Paint with the colors of the wind.
So we'll start with some of these things. He said he basically one of the things he seemed to be frustrated about, it was that whole pooper scooper thing, but also one of the things that to me felt like a bigger part of the puzzle of what really led to his exit
The Roman parts.
was the Roman cancer stuff.
Yeah.
I think that all of us, when he said it was kind of like
Yeah, dude.
whoa, that's a bit much.
Pump your brakes.
Yeah, like, whoa, what?
Because we all we all collectively lost our shit when who was the one that brought up was it Paige that brought up
Reed Flair,
Reed
yeah.
Flair. Like we all collectively were like, what the fuck is going on?
No, that's like a no-no. Like, I mean, there's certain off-limit topics and everything like that.
Yeah, we're like, who signed off on that, and why would you sign off on that? So I definitely, that goes back to this. It's like, you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, he said he regretted the line. He basically said that he got Jedi mind tricked into it, and that it was like, no, you turned on Roman and Seth, so you have to keep Seth in the story, and it kind of like. He said he was so focused on other things that he didn't want to say that when he said that, he realized instantly that it was like it's something he shouldn't have said and that it was bad. And then
because they had Corbin say something like for the next week, I think, about Roman being like too weak to like continue on or some shit like that.
yeah, that sounds right.
And it was like, fuck, like you can't.
I mean, at least everybody already hated Corbin
Yeah.
on
Right.
a deep level.
I wonder what his merch sales are like.
Yeah, it can't be that popping.
Who's buying Baron Corbin merchandise?
I know sometimes the Wolves are cool, man.
Yeah.
Wolves are cool.
Oh shit, Kevin's got a few boys.
I don't. But
Do you have a Mandy Rose shirt?
no.
I always love on Mandy Rose's Instagram, they'll show like the guys that are wearing like the Mandy Rose shirts with like the magazine cover. I'm like, you got some balls, dude. You got some balls doing that picture.
Okay, so then he also said that he vetoed another cancer line
That he wouldn't share.
That he wouldn't say what it was. He said, "quote yeah, and it's the worst line. I'm not gonna say it on the air. I'll tell you after we're done, but I'm not even gonna say it on air. That's how bad it was. It would have been like a thing where somebody would have had to get fired, maybe even me. They would have they would have lost sponsors like Susan G. Komen and all that. It would have been bad." And he said, "I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Vince himself or if it was a writer, and you're listening now. You should be ashamed of yourself. You wouldn't believe it. But if I had just said it, if I had just been like, okay, and just read the script, I can't imagine. But it would have been on me, not on Vince, you know? Anyway, so that's that day."
There is the one thing, you just reminded me of the one thing that I really kind of didn't like about what he said a lot in the interview is that he really came for creative, the writers a lot. And I don't know, I feel like you're kind of, you're stuck there to make Vince happy.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
that's
it's
just
their
like,
job to make Vince happy.
and they're like, we know Vince's voice, so let's try to write something that he would like.
Yeah, you're
And
not
so-
writing what you think is good all
Right.
the time. You're writing what you think he's going to say yes to make,
So
your,
that was like
make
the
your
one
job
thing.
easier.
It's like if you felt held hostage there, you don't think that these guys feel held hostage here? Like they are doing everything they can to get by too. And so, like, I didn't like him kind of coming for the writers that much that he was doing. And I felt like he kind of brought that up
I think
pretty
there
often.
were a few writers he did give props to.
He did.
He kind of singled out a few that he liked.
And he also liked the one where the guy was like, I know this sucks, dude.
Yeah, I was going to say, and he
Yeah.
did call out, like, he didn't name ones by name, but he said that people said that kind of stuff to
Right.
him. So, I mean, I think he was... a little too harsh on them, but understandably so. I mean, if you're in that position, you're going to be so frustrated if it's like, this is the one that's like the messenger. Eventually, you're going to be mad at the messenger if it's always bad news they're delivering to you.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be a rough spot anywhere in that company after a while because you just want to survive.
You know, one of the things I found interesting is him kind of, without saying it, you know, you always hear about how Vince, you know, he has one vision of you and then you're that forever, you know, and that's why I think that Luke Harper always kind of has felt so, you know,
one note.
Yeah, has been, and has also felt like stuck creatively, you know.
When they finally were like, we're going to have you talk, even though you've cut promos, very great promos with Brit and the Wyatt family, once you went solo, we're going to have you just talk like this.
Yeah. And I think it's because Vince sees him a certain way, and I think that was one of Dean's frustrations, it felt like, was that it seems as though Dean felt like Vince saw him as an idiot.
Yeah.
And that is bad, and I'll be honest, that is how his character always was portrayed on TV.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things he was talking about was like, and I remember that, I don't remember this was exactly, I remember when he was talking about it, where it was like, him listing all the weird things he did that day, and I remember that promo and being like, "Who would do any of those
who would say
things?" You know, like why would anyone?
Like why would anybody care about you? People would be like, "Hey, screw this guy."
Yeah, this guy's like homeless.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, he's like a weird.
Like it's one
dude.
thing to be crazy, and it's another thing to be like, "Hey, this guy's a crazy idiot."
Yep.
I hate him. He's an idiot.
Yeah, when you're like talking about being lunatic fringe, like trying to make him a badass at the same time, like you might as well be like, and I strapped some PB&Js to my feet and I came to the arena.
I replaced my beans with grapes.
He always kind of felt sometimes more like instead of being like tough guy Burt Reynolds, he felt like SNL Jeopardy Burt Reynolds, like with the big hat.
That's great. Yeah,
did he always? You know what I mean?
For sure, absolutely. That's perfect.
I just pictured that one part where Burt Reynolds has the hat. You know, you like this hat?
Yeah,
he wasn't Cool Hand Luke. He was Lloyd Christmas.
He wasn't Cool
Dumb
Hand
and Dumber with
wasn't Cool Hand Luke. He was Luke from the Bushwhackers,
which just sucks. Like it's like
at least Luke from the Bushwhacker was a bushwhacker.
Such a goofy thing.
I think the promo that he released, the one that not the one that Nick Mondo put out, the promo he released after Double or Nothing, where he got to cut a promo that he wrote or that he at least came up with in his head.
Yeah,
and it was interesting how that was the best promo you'd seen from him so long because it was coming from him. Like it felt like those old promos that you would see of his that got him hired by WWE,
right.
And it was like, oh, this is the guy. And even he slightly had that when it felt like he was the leader of the Shield initially.
Yeah,
he was holding the camera and doing like the cool guy movements and stuff. But once the other two started to kind of surpass him as like the most popular ones in the group, or at least the ones they were going to focus on for the future.
I think that's a better way to phrase
it. I think when that started to happen is really when they, he was less the leader. And it was more like Roman was kind of the leader of the group, and it started to kind of go from there. It felt like to me.
Yeah, I have something I was curious about earlier was like. We were talking about WWE as a television show, and they have a lot of television programming. I actually get why they have those writers. I get why the structure is set up that way. I'm not endorsing the quality of the work that's being done, but I am acknowledging the quantity of work that must be done in order to put out all their programming. It's a lot. So to that note, though, can the WWE... obviously, this criticism that he's levying is worldwide, widespread now at this point. Like, everybody's heard it. It's the most popular podcast that Jericho's ever done. And I'm curious if WWE can ever move away from the model that they've created and the way that they produce their programming, or if they're just stuck doing the same stuff that they've been doing now because they've just got so much that they have to put out to meet all their contractual obligations.
I believe that Vince likes the structure that's in place, but if you look at like NXT, they put out a lot of content too, and I believe they could put out even more. And there's not like a huge creative team there, there's a creative team there, and a lot of them work at Performance Center and stuff like that, and there's writers for NXT. But I don't foresee
like any change.
Yeah. I think they'd have to start losing money for there to be a change.
Exactly. It goes back to what you're saying. Is like we're making money, so
yeah. How is this not working if it's making money?
John Cena's not even on the show right now. We're making money.
Like Smackdown, for example. Last night Tuesday night it was the highest rated program on cable.
Yeah.
I honestly think that was it because of AEW. Like people just wanted to see what their reaction was.
I do think that come October, if there's any slide or anything, I think that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens when the Fox deal begins.
AEW's weekly starts.
AEW's weekly, and then the XFL starts. That's honestly what I'm most interested in.
I forgot about the XFL starting soon.
Because when the XFL starts,
when is that?
I think that's not till next year.
Okay.
But when the XFL, I believe it's the 2020 season. But when XFL starts, or even in like the few months leading up to it, I don't know how Vince is going to be able to do the two of them.
No.
I don't know how. He's 73 years old. I don't know how.
I don't know how he's still doing what he's doing. Like, I mean, like, it's absurd.
It is absurd.
Particularly on the level of, like, how little sleep he gets, too.
It's unhealthy to sleep that little.
It's dangerous.
I mean, people always
dangerous.
often they tell stories about Vince, like in this one, where he texts him like 5 in the morning. It's like, you're old, man.
Like you
get some
guys,
sleep.
we get mad at each other if any of us text each other before like 8 in the morning.
I know the rules. I mistakenly texted the real early one time.
I don't even care
Jamie
about the
was
rules.
upset.
It's more Jamie, I think, than any of us, because I get up early.
Well, I think Jamie's gotten up early now recently, more so.
It hasn't really happened lately. I think.
No, it
all of us
hasn't. It
are
hasn't
kind of-
No,
happened
but
very
sometimes
long
I'm like
time.
going poop when I wake up in the morning and I want to send something to the group, and I'm like, 7:30 might be cutting it. I'm not
Hey.
sure. It's a little too early.
I think a poop text can be sent any
You can
time
send
of
them
the day.
to me. I'll be up already.
Okay.
So.
All right. Good to know.
Not only
guys.
that, but it's just like everybody should be getting up at that period of time. Like we're all
We're all
30
adults.
something
I'm at work by
professionals.
7,
Come on,
so.
like
So about the creative process in WWE, Moxley said, if I have something to prove, it's that I want to prove that your creative process, the WWE's creative process, sucks. It does not work. It's absolutely terrible. And I've said that to Vince. I've said that to Hunter. I've said that to Michael Hayes. I can't even tell you how their system works. And then he said, he also kind of mentioned, which I thought was interesting, that the production meeting, that it starts with lots of people and then it slowly whittles down.
It's like 3
until
people.
it's just like 3 people at the end. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Then he said, if I had a goal with AEW, it's that we could prove that Vince's way sucks. This is not what I'm going to focus on because it's not about competing with WWE. We're just going to be over here doing our best, putting on our best product. And if a byproduct of that is it pushes WWE to reevaluate their creative process and it makes Vince, now that he's going to step aside because we all know he's going to die in that chair, but maybe he'll listen to somebody else's ideas. Maybe he'll be open and do it a different way. I back to the question you asked there, I just don't foresee any change. I really don't. I think that, especially because of his age, he wants as many ideas being thrown at him as possible because he sees it as a think tank, disposable think tank of people, so I don't see, right?
Also, because he's immortal. He's never going to die.
That's a good point, too. I also thought
Lots
this was
of fresh
interesting
blood.
where Dean said, we're all just in self-preservation mode, trying to not look like idiots instead of creating good things. Which I thought that was very interesting because, that is sometimes what I get frustrated by. I go, like, why are they doing stupid things instead of creating cool stories?
Yeah.
It's like, this would be way cooler. Like, they have this giant writing staff, and I know the writing staff is turning in cool ideas sometimes, You would think that they'd want to make some change. They'd want to, do cool shit, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, too, that he was so anti the goofy stuff since that was his thing. Oh, okay, so this is one of the other things I thought was super interesting is the fact that he flew himself to Stamford to pitch a new character upon his return, where he wanted to completely change it up, total heel turn. But instead, Vince explained to him that the Shield was booked for an upcoming European tour and that he was going to be coming back as part of the Shield again. You could tell when he came back that he was fired up to have some sort of a difference in his character. It sucks that they really wouldn't let him do it because to me, this is part 2 of what really was the core of all of this. It was the Roman line because he felt like he disrespected his friend, and this thing where it was like he was so fired up on wrestling ideas that he had said he was watching Ring of Honor, Impact, and New Japan, death matches and stuff like that.
That part made me really happy. I was like, I like the fact that you are a sincere fan and you just want to feel excited about it again.
Yeah.
And he was feeling excited. That's why he felt so ballsy to fly out there. Mm-hmm. And Vince was just like, all right, you get a fur line jacket and you can wear the chain. It's fine.
Yeah. I think that it feels to me like that's where a lot of the disappointment lies, is that it was like, I wanted to come back this way, and I didn't. And then right after, his idea, instead of all these ideas I pitched to him, his idea is to make fun of my friend's cancer. Like, that's fucked up. And I think that really is how it feels to me.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because he said it's not about the money. He said that, like, he didn't even look at the offer Vince gave to him.
That was crazy. Just like, I mean, even out of, he was so dead set against it that he was just like, I don't even care.
I mean, him saying, like, my house is paid off, my truck's paid off, my mom's house is paid off, I'm good.
Yeah.
What do I need all this crazy money for?
Yeah.
Do you guys believe that he didn't look at the offer from AEW?
From AEW or
No,
you mean
of
from
course
WWE?
Well, he said both. Well,
Did he say? I thought
he said both.
just-
So he
okay.
said he did. Well, he said he didn't look at the offer from WWE. He said with Tony, he didn't talk numbers with Tony. Tony just sent a contract and he signed it. So
Probably looked real good.
probably
Probably looked. He was like,
good enough,
This is
considering
fine.
all the things you said.
Yeah, he was like, this is fine.
Do you believe that he really didn't talk numbers with AEW though?
I'm sure that he probably gave. He spoke with Cody, and Cody kind of was like, "Let's give him this offer." Like, I'm sure that maybe happened. Maybe he didn't go back and forth with Tony, but
I don't know. Like, I mean,
someone was in Tony's ear to give him a good deal.
Hey, like, I mean, like, you got to remember, this dude's a professional wrestler.
Yeah,
though,
totally.
too, like,
That's why out of all the things he said here, I'm like,
I don't fully,
I know how the carnival works.
I don't fully believe that he didn't look at the numbers of either of them. I do believe in that he's being genuine and saying that even if he looked at it, that he didn't care about the WWE's offer.
I believe that
because he was unhappy. It'd be like,
I believe he did a little.
Well, think about it. Like,
I bet you he did a little.
Just a little, he's like, that's
a little.
what's how many zeros over there?
well, it's just like imagine you're with somebody who everybody sees as beautiful, but you spend enough time with them that you're no longer attracted to them, and they say
That's terrible.
things are not really going that well, and then you're just like, oh, well, I don't really care how you say you'll change because I just don't even want to be with you anymore. And I think that's kind of like he reached that
That sounds
point.
like a very sad relationship, by the way.
Well, I mean, you live enough time on planet Earth, you go through some of these situations. I hope that you don't deal with it in your present one. You as well.
No,
You
I
as
think
well.
Erica is beautiful.
No, I mean, no, but
you're
but
the
I'm
one's
talking.
gonna get
But I'm
tossed aside.
talking. I'm talking about a different situation though, where it's just like. I like like I've been with people in the past who I got to the point where it's like I can't even see you as beautiful anymore because I abhor you so much.
Cynistics.
Yeah, but I've recently come to view that I was pretty petty in that situation.
Wait.
Changed a lot this year, guys.
Whoa, that's a huge update.
Yeah,
I can't wait till Erica that.
No,
Good.
like
I think that's for the longtime listeners. That's also a big update.
Is that something we've ever talked about on the actual show?
Absolutely.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah, but it doesn't matter.
But that's good to know.
But let's say you're with
Because you were super petty in that situation.
Totally.
You should have gotten
I would say in
cynics.
the vast majority of every relationship I've ever had, I've been incredibly petty. But
Sometimes you feel like Jerry and George,
you know what? Like, I mean, she eats her peas one at a time. She orders Cinesticks when we're out drinking. No, I would still not be okay with that, but I wouldn't break up with somebody because of it. We can go to a 24-hour donut shop. It's going to be way better than Cinesticks. Come on. Like, follow my guide.
Absolving.
and solving.
Yeah, precisely. No, but and it doesn't matter what I'm trying to say anymore. Okay, we've gotten so off topic from it and everything.
It means everything
The
to
long
me.
story short is like it doesn't matter what he was offered because he was so miserable that like money didn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever promises they could make couldn't fix the relationship that he had with them. He was at a point where he was ready to end that relationship, and he did, and he did it with grace and dignity. I feel like actually, until you get after it, and you're like, man, I was ready to break up with that stupid idiot for the longest period of time.
That bitch sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Like Scott, I mean, that's what he got to, but he also got out of the relationship before he started talking smack, so he didn't have to like suddenly find himself back in the relationship as so many people do. Be like, well, she's okay though. I know I said this, that, and the other, but
Yeah, no.
Your whole family hates him already.
Yeah.
You're like, look. I mean, I kind of.
I know what I
said a lot of bad
I
things.
was-
Yeah.
That's why I learned in high school never to complain to my mom about a girlfriend.
Oh, no.
Because then she'll just hate them forever.
Yeah.
And you just can't tell your mom any kind of argument you have with a girl because
Yeah.
they'll just hate them forever.
I remember one time I broke up with this girl and I was trying to like get back with her later on because I regretted it big time because she was awesome and beautiful and I was an idiot. And I wrote like this apology letter that was like a novella. It was the longest individual thing I've ever written before, actually, outside of a screenplay. And I sent it.
How long was it?
It was like 15,000 words long. It was really long. It was.
What?
It
How
was,
many pages was that?
I don't know, 40.
Was she a
Wait, did you say you wrote a 40-page letter to a girl you like?
like.
Did
being-
she
I'm a
like
writer.
reading?
She read it.
Was she also a writer?
And she basically responded with like, "Thanks, but no thanks. I've moved on. Goodbye." And I was like, "Ah!"
To be honest, if
You
you got
No, but the reason
You
I
had a
brought
few moments like
the
that.
reason I brought it
if it
up
went past
though-
a page, I'd be like, "Fuck you."
Well, I'm a beautiful writer, though. But like, the reason I brought it up, I can't even remember why I brought it up now.
What, do you say things like you smell? Like
Oh, the reason I brought it up is because I
the
remember
rain
thinking,
upon the gravel
I remember
or
even
some
sending
shit.
it to her. I was like, "This is totally gonna win her back. Her friends are gonna hate me forever because I already broke up with her 2 months ago." But they'll get over it eventually.
I'll buy them cinema sticks.
And then she was just like, "No, goodbye." And I was like, "Oh, you're not that good of a writer, Bates."
I feel like you've had a
respect
few
that.
love failures that were related around letters.
They've all been failures.
That's why we're here.
Have you ever written a successful love letter?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
Was it 40 pages long?
No, I will never.
No, there's another one you
Like-
have.
like
There's
I've-
another story you have revolving around a girl you liked and a letter, and I can't remember what it is, but I love it.
No, I mean, like, that's one of the,
Okay.
I'm a professional writer.
We're
That's what I
gonna
do.
dig in a little deeper here. When you were the editor on your school newspaper. Did you ever take out an ad?
No.
For like to take some editor's notes to as a tribute to like a girl that.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't get that
personal
far.
one-on-one letter goes a really long way, especially
just
like
wanna
when
make
you
sure
have,
that- I mean, that's a grand gesture. It's in the paper.
I have an elegant communication style when it comes to words. So
I'm just checking. I'm checking.
All right, we're gonna move topics here only because we only have a little bit of time left, and we'll just do a quick.
And your shirt needs to sell drugs somewhere later. So that's
I'll let
probably-
you. I'll
It
have you
kinda
know
reminds-
Eli said it was a cool shirt.
I
It's a
like
cool
it.
shirt.
It
You
reminds me of Pandora from Avatar.
I don't know if that's good.
I liked Avatar a lot.
Okay,
It
fair enough.
reminds me of somebody that needs to move some weight. That's what it looks like.
I mean, it was one of my vacation shirts. I need to do some laundry. So, quick thoughts on Double or Nothing.
It was great, right?
It was awesome.
Any other thoughts beyond that?
I love the show. I think there's moments like I tweeted about that 4-way with the women there's certain moments in wrestling where there's a move that gets pulled off. This one, the Tower of Doom, and the person that always does a power bomb portion of that usually falls to the side because they're, oh my god, I got destroyed off of that too. Kong just stomped all over everybody and like walked around like she was a monster, and I was like, fuck, that's so cool, and that made me so excited about that match. That Rey Fenix move that you talked about where he pops up and does a cutter. Those always look like such like everyone saw that coming no matter what. And even in this sense it did also, but it looks so smooth. There's a lot of really good wrestling that happened.
Yeah.
Those guys got their chance to make up for what happened at All In with their time constraint, and I love that. I think those
I feel
matches
like
were amazing.
There was a steady mix of what people have come to expect and what they truly have to offer and what they've been putting out there for the longest time, be it, if it was a PWG or a New Japan or something like that, you did kind of have like the action-packed focus, but you had real pro wrestling moments that took place too. And I think that AEW should strive to find that mixture of those two things, because truth be told, like I know we've talked about the influence of WCW on Cody and everything like that, but like WCW in its heyday had a steady mix of both those things. They did have like their luchador aspects, and they had a lot of their light heavyweights, and they had a lot of people who were putting on stellar nonstop movement matches. And then you had you had your pro wrestling with the NWO, even before the NWO with like Hulk Hogan, with Macho Man Randy Savage, Sting, etc., Ric Flair. So I think that they're still finding it. They're finding their groove of what is the mixture of like that kind of that action-packed sports moment, and what are the story-driven moments too. That having said, I feel really bad for Sean Spears because Jon Moxley's debut completely has made people forget that he was in that.
But at the same time, that the pop that he got was wild compared to anything that he could have ever.
It's just one of
hoped
those
for, I'm
things
sure.
like I feel like now it's like, hey, I was also on the show. Especially after the podcast, it's like, come on.
I'm sorry.
He left WWE technically before Ambrose
Yeah.
too. Some people should have wanted him, but he's obviously not on the same level as Jon Moxley.
Also, he could go home to a beautiful woman, and so he's fine.
Well, it's not like Dean Ambrose can or Jon Moxley can.
I'm just saying
it's going to be hard to switch back to that. It's
It
funny
is going to be hard.
I think calling him Mox actually works.
I like it, but it's just you train yourself to not be like that Smart who's calling them their indie name for
Yeah,
so
now you go
long.
back to the indie
So now
name.
you have to train yourself to not be that like WWE Mark who's still calling them their name from WWE. Jon Moxley
Jericho called him Ambrose during the interview, so it's fine.
Okay.
I'm curious, like, what the sentiment is of the other people. You know, like, I mean, I'm sorry to, like, you know, curve it back to Ambrose, but, like, you know, somebody like Kevin Owens or somebody like that, or AJ Styles. Naturally, I think that they've probably seen a show like this, and they're probably looking at it and being like, damn, that looks really exciting. That looks really good. I would love it if I could be part of that energy and everything. But there's also dudes who have families, too. So I would be curious, and Mox and Renee do not have a you know, kids. So I'm curious just like what the view is of AEW with the wrestlers that have families comparatively to the ones that don't.
I'll say this for the smart ones, they're waiting till TV starts.
Yeah.
I think so
And
too.
I mean, there's ones that are like, I need to get out now. But there's others that are like, the ones with families are probably going, well, let's see how this looks.
Yeah, see how it plays out.
Yeah.
A lot of the people are playing wait and see. Like there are wrestlers who have contracts that they've been sitting on for months that like somewhat that they were offered deals that they haven't signed yet because I think they are waiting to see if like okay. I think first they were waiting to see Double or Nothing, and it was like, okay, they put their money where their mouth was. Now let's see what this TV show is all about. Because I think, you know, it's going to be interesting, you know, this whole sports-centric thing they're going for. Like, to me, it was weird to see a non-indie show, like a major wrestling promotion, have a pay-per-view where there were all clean finishes. There's not one person that had any other kind of victory, only clean finishes. Did you guys think that was an interesting choice?
It was nice to see that. It was refreshing, and I really liked that about.
But they can't.
No,
They're not going to do
that.
No, but I think that
You can't do it all at once.
I think the goal is to like strive not to do it. So when it happens, it's irregular. You know, we've come to expect, you know, the schmaz or, you know, just some kind of screwy, you know, disqualification ending or something like that because it's happened so many times. We've come to expect the champion being beat because like it's a non-title match and championships don't truly matter that much because just like the way that they've been taken like down that road and everything. So I think if they can keep a consistency with how they do their shows and everything so that these alternate finishes actually feel, you know, unique at least, like that would be nothing but a feather in their cap.
Yeah, on Busted Open Radio, Tony Khan did an interview and he talked a little bit about the show, and he basically said that it's going to be a lot different than being the Elite. That, you know, there's only, you know, that comedy works, obviously, but that there's a time and place for it.
Yeah.
And that it's obviously that it's not going to be something that is like at the forefront, that they're more going for the sports-centric,
you know, the
serious
problem that
wrestling
happened
show.
with WWE is that, like that stupid Rock and Mankind segment, and I say stupid even though I enjoyed it, got the biggest rating of all time. So it's like, well, why wouldn't we go the comedy route? That gets our biggest ratings. Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know, and Mankind in the hospital with Mr. McMahon. Why wouldn't we do like cutaways like that?
I have people that friends that don't know anything about wrestling, but they always reference Booker T versus Stone Cold in the market.
Yeah,
like that's a memorable moment, and it's hilarious. Like that thing was crazy.
Well, I think the other part of that is that when you were a wrestling fan growing up and you were in the supermarket, you always thought, "Oh, it'd be so sick if you could superplex somebody off of this into the grapes."
If I just throw some milk on them and tell them to clean up aisle 3, it'll be great.
Oh man.
Favorite match on the show and why?
I think the Jericho match, just because, like, I mean, it was the end of the show. It led into like the biggest moment and everything. It was completely like did not expect Jericho to win, and so like, I mean, I think that was like a massive curveball. Like, I mean, I think just the culmination of those moments. You know, like, I mean, I'm a big fan of big wrestling moments that often are taking place like that. Even just going back to like Hulk Hogan being the third man, it's like that took place like detached from or like it's connected but detached from the main event, and then the angle afterwards played out and everything. So I think that those two like factors combined sent the show into the next stratosphere.
And plus, you probably like the Judas effect.
It's okay. It's okay. It feels like a move that I would have programmed into my wrestler in No Mercy or something like that.
Fair. I mean,
like that would have like done the.
To be
where they,
fair,
like, died
you know,
afterwards.
one of my favorite finishers of all time is Masato Tanaka's roaring elbow. Like when the way he used to do it, I used to love. It's not quite the same, obviously, but I used to love Chris. I love Chris Hero when he does it too.
Yeah.
Or Cash Zono. So I'm into it. I don't hate it. Kevin, favorite match on the show and why?
I'm kind of torn between the women's four-way and the Lucha Brothers versus Bucks, and the reason being is I think a lot of it played into the commentary too. I think the commentary was so strong in that women's four-way. I think everything worked so well in that. The way they portrayed, is it Nyla Rose?
Yes.
Just the way that it's. I love the fact that there is no mention of the fact she's a transgender woman, and it's like you don't need to mention that stuff. If it was on WWE, that's all they would mention. And that match was incredible. I like the fact again that the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks got their time. Then I thought that was a surprising finish. The Lucha Brothers don't get the AAA title tag team
I was
back.
surprised too.
I was shocked by that,
especially because the Young Bucks were telling a good story of them not being on the same page. In my opinion, I felt like they were trying to drive home the fact that it had been a while since they teamed, and that some of their tag maneuvers were a little off and stuff. So I expected the Lucha Bros to win too. I also thought that they were going to do the same thing that it feels like they did with Kenny, where they didn't want all the executive vice presidents to win their matches. My favorite match on the show was Cody versus Dustin.
Yeah.
I thought it told a great story. It was very old school feeling. The blood obviously added an extra element to it. Emotional because of Dusty, all that kind of stuff. And it was one of those matches I wanted to see at WrestleMania, so I was pumped for it.
Yeah.
And you get the great additions to it was who's the ref in that match? Was it
Earl Hebner? Yeah,
it was Earl. So it's those moments where you get these guys, you get Earl Hebner, and he did a fantastic job in that match. I mean, there's three people in that ring when it's a 1-on-1, but I thought every element in that match was incredible.
Yeah. So on the YouTube channel, on the YouTube channel, I did a full review of the show with Jen Sturger, a.k.a. Jennifer Decker. If you want to hear my full thoughts on pretty much on all the matches, on every single match of the actual pay-per-view, then go check it out. It's youtube.com/c/wrestling sheet. You find the video there. If you want to just listen to the audio, it's also on the podcast feed as well. It's easily found. Just search Wrestling Sheet Radio on all the podcast platforms. Now, we got a few minutes left here since Kevin was late, but I still want to get your guys' thoughts real fast. Sami Zayn mentioning AEW on Raw. Kevin, what'd you think about it? You think it's a bad idea for them to do that?
I think it's a bad idea given the fact that when you posted the stats of the Google Trends, it's just
doubled.
Oh my God! What did you do? I think the way Sami Zayn pulled it off, it looks so genuine that he was just like, oh shit, look what I said. But I don't know. I think it's a bad idea.
I mean, I think it would be an okay idea if there was some intent to shift up the programming a little bit, given all the positive feedback that AEW got and everything. It's not like saying it is almost kind of one of those things. It felt almost like it felt akin to whenever WCW would reference WWE, the Mankind reference when he won the title or something like that. It was like, hey, but you're.
It did kind of feel that way.
Where it was
obviously you can't switch the channel, but it did feel that way.
Yeah. But I don't think it was. I don't think it was necessary, and I don't think it did much good for the WWE.
I agree with you that it shouldn't have been mentioned unless they planned to come with their A game on Raw this week, and I don't think they came with their A game on Raw this week. So
everyone was expecting it, and I was like, "Why are you expecting this?
Yeah.
They're not going to just change this entire show."
I don't think I expected a change, but I expected them to
You expect an hour long of not wrestling.
Well, I just expected the pay per view to light a fire under their ass a little bit.
The first match
we're going to have to put on an awesome. Yeah. We should put on an awesome show just so we kind of puff our chests out a little bit,
Yeah.
But obviously, I know, like I said on the Raw recap, it's a holiday show. It's not going to be that watched anyways. So I'm sure in their minds it was like, we don't need to come
again this time of the year.
Yeah.
It's like they just got back from the Euro tour.
I mean, even SmackDown, like I said, was the highest rated show on cable this week, and they didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
It was a good. It was an entertaining show, but
you don't
appreciate
appreciate Shane McMahon?
Oh, don't get me started. Go watch the Raw and SmackDown recaps for my thoughts on that. And lastly, one of the other stories that dropped this week that just was wild to me, and that's Terri Runnels bringing a gun to the airport. What was her reasoning?
She brings it because she's going to her mom's where she's got to shoot armadillos or something like that.
That's exactly what it was.
Yo, have an armadillo gun when you get there.
I'm sure if there's armadillos wherever she's going, her mom probably has some kind of a gun. It just seemed like
also don't shoot armadillos.
Hey, just chill.
Are they that dangerous? I'm not like some nature expert. You're more than me. Are armadillos that dangerous? Where you
I
can
don't,
shoot
I
them
don't think it's about
at your mother's property?
I don't think it's about danger. I think it was more about them disturbing maybe the landscaping or digging
That's what
holes
she
or
said.
something.
She
Or
said
she
when I
wants
go to
armadillo stew.
Yeah.
She said
Armadillo?
when I go to see my
Armadillo?
mom, I pack my gun because she has armadillos that ruin her garden and other critters that go after her chickens, and I usually take my gun when I go to see her.
So you're always flying with a gun? Is that what you're telling
No,
us?
so then she says that she
When I fly, I pack some heat.
She traveled to her mom's, which I believe by car.
Okay.
And was there for a week and a half. Then traveled home and was home for a few days. But for some reason, she only got a few hours sleep in the few days that she was home, she said. Then she had to get up at 4 a.m. for her flight and forgot the armadillo gun.
The armadillo gun.
Was still in her bag.
Oh, shoot! The armadillo gun!
Okay, was the gun gold plated at least? 'Cause
I don't know that. No,
that's-
it wasn't actually. They had a picture in the TMZ story of the gun.
That's all I
also,
wanted.
like, the gun was loaded. Like, she tried to bring a loaded gun through
On the
security.
plane.
I am scared to bring, like, anything through security. Like,
I'm scared just going through security
Yeah.
that they're gonna find something in my bag. That I go through my bag typically before I pack and be like, "Hey, make sure you don't have anything illegal in here." And I don't. I never do. But it's just
I'm, like, digging in the small pockets just in case.
hey, also, if you're at the point where you don't know that you've stuck a gun in a bag, like you need to like get rid of some of your bags. I think. Like if you got so many, you're like, oh, I completely forgot I put my loaded concealed weapon in that bag. It's like, no. The stuff that is important to you that you put someplace, you remember where it is.
Also, get a case for your gun.
Also,
Don't just put it in a bag.
build a fence around wherever the armadillos are disturbing and don't just kill animals because they're digging a hole.
She also, in the video, she name drops the kind of bag that it's in, like as if it's like a fancy type of bag. And I'm like, and that's why I got so frustrated. It's like, no, you're supposed to put it in a case. Be responsible. Don't
Yeah.
put a loaded gun in, what did she say? She says it
What was
right here.
the bag?
Hey, also, unload that gun. What
Also,
are you doing? Like,
why not just have the armadillo
wait,
gun
wait, wait.
at the...
Bradley tote that I always take. Literally, it did not even cross my mind that my gun was in my Vera Bradley tote that I always take on the plane with me.
My
And
tote.
My Vera Bradley tote that I take on the plane with me everywhere.
Why not even just have the armadillo gun at your mom's house?
hey, yeah.
Leave it there.
Or how about
That's
this?
a really good question.
Yeah,
Shoe.
or why not have a special armadillo gun for that?
Shoe.
Yeah.
Out of here, armadillo.
Out
Is
of
it
your shoe,
legal
armadillo.
to shoot armadillos?
I'm positive that where does her mom live?
This was in Tampa
Hey,
where
I
she got
just,
arrested.
I mean,
That's
Florida's
where she lived.
Florida.
Terri Runnels not a spring
If
chicken
you-
at this point. Like her mom is so old. It's like, worry about your mom.
Okay, well, it says if you legally own a firearm and are permitted to shoot it on your property,
You can shoot an armadillo.
You can use a gun to kill armadillos.
Yeah, of course. Her mom lives in Florida. You can shoot anything anywhere in Florida.
That's true.
And all they do is get a fun headline.
That's true. I'm Florida man. Florida
Yeah.
woman.
Florida woman killed by armadillo.
Killed by an armadillo shooting.
Kevin, where can people find you at?
You guys can find me at Kevin Gets Rad on all platforms, and if you look at my Instagram story every so often, I'll be DJing Emo Night OC at the Slide Bar in Florida.
all right.
So there you go.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that now.
It's
my favorite thing.
There you go. Yeah, it's a thing. Might as well just lean into my previous life.
Previous, like you ever stopped being emo.
I'm sad. No, I'm fine.
Eli, where can people find you at?
Twitter at Elijah Bates. Instagram at Brindlebeard.
It's funny how much happier you are to say that when you don't have to follow like the 20 things that Jamie says.
Yeah.
You feel much more confident
Well, I
with it.
just
When
feel
it's
like I
just
need.
emo night
I
that
feel
you're
like
following.
I feel like I need to stretch it out with Jamie because it's so long that I've got to like slow pan every single time.
ProWrestlingSheet.com. That's the website. You can find all the top stories throughout the week in the world of professional wrestling at Wrestling Sheet on social media. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where we post all the videos throughout the week. That's where we got the Raw and SmackDown recaps of myself and John Roca. We've got the Double or Nothing review that I did with Jennifer Decker, a.k.a. Jen Sturger. And we've also got an interview that I did with Sick Nick Mondo, former deathmatch wrestler who directed the Jon Moxley hype videos, the one that was the Time's Up video for New Japan and the Prison Break video. We got some fun insight from him on the making of those videos. So make sure you guys check all those videos out. And if you want to just listen to most of those, I didn't put the Nick Mondo one there, but if you want to listen to most of our shows, just while you're driving around or working out, or you're probably not working out, but probably driving around for the most part. I'm not working out, I guess, while I listen to it, so that's why I feel that way. We're not all working out. Only Eli's working out. But you can listen to our podcast. It's on most major podcast platforms. Just search Wrestling Sheet Radio. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.